Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to That's English.
Hello. In our last programme, we talked about a multicultural and multiracial Britain. Do you remember Alex, who said that the Echo was a racist newspaper? Well, today we're going to look more closely at racism in Britain.
To begin, we asked some people this question. Do you think racism is a problem in Britain today?
Racism is a problem in Great Britain today, but I hope that in the future things are going to get better. I think that children are growing up together much more in mixed schools today, and that's going to help a lot.
Yes, I do think there is a large problem with racism in Britain, and it's certainly something that needs dealing with in the near future.
I don't think racism is as much of a problem as it used to be, say, in the 1960s when my parents first emigrated to England. I think now the problem's lessened.
I think racism is more of a problem now than it was. It is not so bad as in many, many other countries, but it is there, yes.
I think racism exists in this country, but I'm not sure how to deal with it.
I'm not sure how to deal with it. No sé qué hacer al respecto. That's the important question, of course. How do we deal with racism?
What do people think about that?
Racism, I think this is terribly difficult. It's got to be education, for a start. If you are ignorant, you're going to be prejudiced. And it must start early in schools.
To fight racism, I think we should have a black Prime Minister.
I think racism is a problem all over the world, and I think what we have to do is be conscious of it and make sure that we as individuals are not racist.
I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is, are you racist? And if you are, then find ways to fight the racism in yourself.
Be open-minded.
Be open-minded. Tener la mente abierta. That's a very useful word when you're talking about difficult, serious topics, like this one, racism.
There was a very useful word there. Fíjate en cómo llaman los ingleses a una persona que tiene prejuicios.
If you are ignorant, you're going to be prejudiced. And it must start early in schools.
Now, you probably noticed that many of the people we spoke to found that this was a difficult topic to discuss. It wasn't always easy for them to express an opinion. They didn't say, this is good and that's bad. They didn't say, we must do this and we must do that. Instead, they ummed and ahed, balbuceaban o titubeaban.
No, the British don't always like talking about serious topics.
Especially with people they haven't met before.
How to be British. Talking to strangers about serious topics.
Do you think there are too many foreign people in Britain?
I don't know how many foreign people there are in Britain. And I don't care.
There are a lot, and there are going to be more. I mean, would you shut the door?
Well, it's politics. It doesn't really matter to me.
Oh, I'm glad.
Another drink?
No, thanks. I'm fine. Well, what are the Conservative Party's views on immigration?
Are you sure you won't have a drink?
No, I'm fine. Well, what about the Labour Party?
The Labour Party?
Yes. Are you going to vote for them?
Am I going to vote for the Labour Party? That's rather a difficult question.
You don't like talking about politics, do you?
Oh, me?
Yes, you.
I don't mind. Goodness me, is that the time? I must be going.
I don't mind. Goodness me, is that the time? Dios mío, mira qué hora es.
Tony, what do you think? Is racism a problem in Britain?
Goodness me, look at the time. We must get on to the next part of the programme. No, I'm joking. But it's important to remember, don't talk about politics with strangers in Britain.
And Tony's right about the time. We must get on with the programme. It's time for the news. Today's main story is about an interracial marriage.
Or a mixed marriage, un matrimonio mixto. Can you answer this question? Who has got married?
News, news, news. First, the headlines. An Indian woman from the New World meets Queen Elizabeth. Tourists from all over Europe come to visit London. But first, the main story. Pocahontas, the young daughter of a Red Indian chief, met our gracious Queen Elizabeth today. Over to our court correspondent, Sir Sidney Walsingham. Sir Sidney, why has Pocahontas come to England?
Well, Trevor, 3 years ago, the English explorer John Rolfe met Pocahontas. He told her, "We're going to get married and visit England."
Were people shocked at this mixed marriage?
Well, Trevor, Pocahontas's father did not want her to marry. But Pocahontas said, "I don't care if John's skin is white. We love each other very much."
And what did Queen Elizabeth think of her?
Her Majesty was amused. So everyone at court is talking about the new Red Indian look.
Do you think we're going to see many more interracial marriages in this country?
Well, Trevor, I don't think so. This is an exception.
Thank you, Sir Sidney. Now for today's other story. The Welsh, the Cornish, the Scots and the Irish don't like the English. They say they don't want to be part of a multiracial Britain. But Queen Elizabeth says that the Irish problem will soon be solved. And finally, more tourists than in any other century are visiting London. And one of the main attractions is London Bridge. And the Tower of London is especially popular with tourists. That's all from That's English News. Good night.
So, what about that mixed marriage? Who got married?
3 years ago, the English explorer John Rolfe met Pocahontas. He told her, "We're going to get married and visit England."
The English explorer John Rolfe and Pocahontas, the daughter of an Indian chief.
One important aspect of racism that we haven't looked at yet is discrimination. In the short film you're going to see, you'll hear these expressions. Equality.
The Commission for Racial Equality.
Ethnic minorities.
And to discriminate on racial grounds, por motivos de raza.
As we've said before, don't worry if you don't understand every word. The gist is the most important thing. And to get the gist, try to answer these questions. What happened to the man you're going to see? And what does it show?
I.D.O. Dunton was offered a job as an accountant by a London-based firm. But just before he was due to start, he got a call, which he recorded, telling him the offer had been withdrawn after intervention from the company's managing director.
Cut a long story short, he effectively said that if it was you, he was going to make life very difficult. I thought you were the ideal bloke for the job. I was really looking forward to working with you.
The company denies discrimination, but paid him £11,000 in compensation.
I don't believe that the colour of your skin should debar you from making any sort of progress. At the end of the day, it's what you have up here and not what people can see on the outside.
The Commission for Racial Equality says such discrimination is still rife, with many companies failing to ensure equality. Today's report shows that despite numerous statements of good intent, many of Britain's leading employers are continuing to discriminate on racial grounds, leaving members of ethnic minorities twice as likely to be unemployed as their white counterparts. Jennifer Nadel, ITN, at the Commission for Racial Equality.
Our questions were, what happened to the man? And what does it show? Well, the man didn't get the job because he was black. And it shows that there is still racial prejudice in some places. That also answers our original question. Is racism a problem in Britain? People from ethnic minorities are twice as likely to be unemployed as their white counterparts.
La probabilidad de que un miembro de una minoría étnica no encuentre empleo es el doble que la de un blanco. So, racism clearly is a problem.
But it really is time to stop now. Please join us for our next programme. Goodbye.
Bye.